Now, we've heard already some accounts of the situations, the terribly difficult situations people around the country are in now, and I'm going to begin with another one of those. And this is a situation of a woman in Lincolnshire who has an autoimmune disease, who, under the directions of the government, the recommendations for her health and well-being, to protect our NHS resources, she should be remaining at home, isolated for 12 weeks. She, however, needs an abortion. She also has at home a 2-year-old with a heart condition. There's another reason why she shouldn't be leaving the house. But to have an abortion, my lords, under our current law, she has to leave the house and go to a clinic or approved place to take the first of the pills for an early medical abortion. This, I'm sure every member of your Lordship's House will agree, is a terrible situation. And it is an utterly medically unnecessary situation. The provision for taking the pill at the clinic is not a medical necessity. This is something that comes from our 1967 Abortion Act, an act that was passed 25 years before medical abortions even were introduced. And in the next 13 weeks, based on average figures, 44,000 women will be in a situation of having to travel to a clinic, to an approved place to take that pill, something that's utterly medically unnecessary. If we look at comparable countries, the United States, Australia, Canada, in all of those countries it's possible for women to take both of the pills that are necessary for an early medical abortion at home. Now, what this amendment does, and I would very much stress this, it provides temporary modifications to the Abortion Act of 1967. It has the provision to say that the woman could take both of those pills at home, as happens in all of those other countries. And what it also does is removes the 2-doctor rule that currently says that 2 doctors have to sign off on an abortion. There are only a small number of doctors and health professionals who provide these services. We know, we've discussed again and again in your Lordship's House, just how much pressure our medical professionals, our NHS, our services are under, and how precious a resource those doctors are, most of whom do other services as well. So what the amendment calls for is to allow nurses and midwives who already are professionally qualified, who do much of the work now, to certify these abortions, to allow them to go ahead, one nurse or midwife or doctor, and they will then continue to report that to the Chief Medical Officer as usual. Now, there's some points about this that I'd stress in terms of the general provisions of the bill that perhaps we haven't talked about very much, but the way this whole bill works and the way this amendment would work is that the government has the power to switch provisions on and off as it wishes. And it's also, again, we haven't talked about this very much, but it can also do this regionally, or national nations can do this according to the needs of place and time. So if, for example, there was a real problem with provision, say in the southwest, the government could take a very small-scale decision for a particular place and time to ensure that those abortions are available to the people who need them. So if we think about all the arguments for why we should have this provision, there's as we're discussing with so many provisions, protecting everybody. If we see 44,000 women having to travel, make extra journeys, that's more chances for the coronavirus to spread. We're actually playing into the virus's hands. We've got stay at home, save lives, a slogan that we've all been hearing and seeing and using again and again. This provision allows that to happen. We're protecting our precious medical professionals, the people who we want, increasingly are operating remotely, need to be able to operate through telemedicine remotely. We're protecting the NHS resources that we know there's already enormous pressure on. And of course, if people are not able to secure an early medical abortion, we're going to see a situation where then they'll be seeking surgical abortions, which will again put much more pressure on the NHS, absolutely unnecessary pressure. So I would ask the Noble Lord the Minister to please accept this into the bill, incorporate this amendment. It doesn't force the government to do anything by doing that. It simply creates the possibility that the government can act. As the Noble Lord Adonis is not in his place said now, we won't be here for a very long time to make other legal changes. That's going to be the time of maximum pressure we would expect from the virus. So please, I ask this temporary change to be put in place to deal with this crisis.